more specifically about this mission, it is in the bottom half of Sonora, Mexico, and the top half of Sinaloa, Mexico. It goes from Esperanza in the north in Sonora to Angostura in the south in Sinaloa. I was able to serve in Obregon, which is the main city. That's where the mission office is and where the president lives. And then I was able to serve in Los Mochis in Sinaloa, which is about the biggest city we have in Sinaloa. And I was able to serve towards the very bottom of the mission in a place called Guamuchil. The church is really well established in Obregon. There's 3 stakes. I would have to say that everywhere that you can serve in Obregon is a ward. I served in 2 wards in Obregon, and they were both a pretty good size. I'd say the first ward was about 60, my second ward was about 70 people, which is good considering that there's so many wards and the boundaries are actually pretty small. My second ward, it was very easy to walk from one side of the area to the other side of the area because there's so many people that were members there that the boundaries were smaller. Obregon, in general, is really known for its food, that it has specifically tortillas. They have the best flour tortillas in this part of the country. So if you're going to northern Mexico, you should be really excited to know that there's really good tortillas, like Cafe Rio times 10. They have a little tortilla store, I guess you can call it, on every single corner. And they're really cheap too. That's one thing about Mexico that's really cool, is that you get to eat the best food that you've ever eaten in your life for way less money than you would eat something equivalent here. It's really hot. Obregon is so hot. I served there during the summer, but I also served there during the winter. The summer gets up to probably like 120 degrees at some points. It's like if you're considering what to buy to go to Obregon, make sure you buy like short sleeve shirts and skirts that are made out of a material that isn't going to make you sweat. It's really hot. I remember, I think I was with one of my companions in November serving in an area in Obregon, and we got so excited that it came down to 80 degrees in November that we put on sweaters because we thought that that was cold for where we were. It doesn't really get that cold. You don't need to bring that many sweaters. You don't need to bring winter coats. You don't need to bring winter clothing at all because it's not going to get cold enough to use it until maybe mid-December. I think there might be a little bit of a cold time in Obregon for like 2 or 3 weeks. But even that cold is not that cold. So I would just say if you were thinking about packing, just to pack like sweaters or something, but not to take it too seriously because you're going to be really hot. But one thing is, in Obregon, you can get sunblock for, like, you get to have your sunblock reimbursed. It is one of the most expensive things you can buy when you're down in Mexico. If you go into the grocery stores, it's definitely way more expensive than other things. But the mission realizes that we're in such a hot area and will pay for all of our sunblock, so you don't need to worry about your funds with that. And there's little shops on like every corner, and there's like people who sell things out of their houses a lot, because in Mexico that's legal. So in Obregon, there's like, you can buy ice cream or popsicles out of people's houses or frozen bananas, and there's little stores that are kind of like convenience stores in a ways that are on like every corner of every street that sells water and juice and everything. So you should be okay in order to buy things to keep you from dying of the heat. But it really is pretty fun. I mean, it does get hot sometimes, but the good thing about it is that in this area of the world where Obregon is, the people are really kind. So it's not likely that you will be in the street all day without someone letting you into your house. They're very friendly. They're very excited to meet us. They often see us as like little children, so they think we're like adorable. So they'll usually let us in and let us at least talk to them. Now, there's people from lots of different Christian religions in Obregon. The most prominent is probably Catholic. It definitely is Catholic. They have a figure that they worship that's called La Virgen de Guadalupe, and she's very prominent in that area. You'll see, right when you get into the area, you'll see in front of people's houses, on their doors, it's this Virgen de Guadalupe, which is the Virgin Guadalupe. It's basically who she is took me a while to figure this out, is that she's like Mary, the Virgin that we know of in the Bible, that has come down to a little Indian boy in the Mexican area that's named Juan Diego. So it's kind of like she came down to him, and then they worship that story. So if you hear Juan Diego and Virgen de Guadalupe, it stems from that, and that's a very strong belief that many of them have. Not all of them, but I would say the majority are probably Catholics that have that feeling. There are also other religions. There's Jehovah's Witnesses, there's Apostolicas, I don't know how to say that. But there's lots of different Christian religions. I didn't really see religions that weren't Christian very much. It was very rare. Every once in a while you'd run into a couple atheists, but most of them, for the most part, were Christians one way or the other. At least they professed to being Christians. So you will be dealing with people who already have a firm belief in Christ, which is definitely very helpful. Like I said, with Obregon, it's really hot. But one thing also is that when it rains, it pours, if that makes any sense. The second it starts raining, you need to know that like you're going to get drenched completely and that it's not going to stop for a little while. So it's just a really nice experience in a way to see how much people help you when you're in that position, because I mean, missionaries, and they say oftentimes in that part of Mexico that the only people who are in the street in the summer or when it's raining are the missionaries and the dogs, because no one else would be crazy enough to be in the street when it's so hot or when it's pouring. So people would always let us into their houses. And I remember one time, it was just such a beautiful sight because, I mean, just because of the irrigation system, it's not really prepared for rain because it's always thinking that it's going to be sunny and hot. It's not that, like, developed yet. So when it rains, it also floods. And you can get up to, like, past your knee in water if it really is flooding. And there's several things that happened with me in the rain. One is that there was like a pothole, like a hole in the road or something, and I fell down, which is kind of funny, but I didn't get hurt. And it was just also really nice because there's like tins with tacos. So I remember one of my companions and I saw that it was just like pouring, and there was just like, it was like a river going down the street, and we decided we'd just stop. And it was just kind of nice because you can like sit and just have dinner, and there are like people who are ready to serve you right in the middle of the street in the middle of the pouring rain. So I mean, there's definitely lots of things that are fun in those situations. You always want it to rain though, because it really cools things down and it's kind of fun. And usually you don't get too cold because even if it's raining, it's really hot still. So